You know that we usually use adverbs of frequency with simple present to show how frequent an action is. For example, I always play soccer in the evening. I want to show that it is very frequent. To show how frequent an action is, I use adverbs of frequency. You know them. Let's have a revision. I always play. I usually play. I oftentimes play. I sometimes play. I rarely play. I barely play. I seldom play. I hardly ever play. I never play. Please repeat. Rarely. Repeat. Rarely. Barely. Barely. Seldom. Seldom. Hardly ever. Hardly ever. لطفاً حتما تکرار کنید جایی که میگه. We know that we use them before the main verb. Where? Before the main verb. Can I say, for example, I play always soccer? No, it is not okay. Can I say always I play soccer? Grammatically, no, it is not correct, okay? So, I always play soccer, I usually play soccer, but American English believes that you can use some of them at the first of a sentence as well. For example, you can use sometimes before the sentence. Actually, British English believes it too. You can say, sometimes I play soccer. That is acceptable. Also, in American English, you can use oftentimes and often at the first of a sentence too. You can say, oftentimes I play soccer. That is acceptable. Be careful. A point that I'm going to talk about is about rarely, barely, seldom, and hardly ever. All of them is بندرت, okay? Guys, the place is before the main verb, but I can use it at the first of a sentence as well. Something happens that we call it inversion. Look here. I say, I barely discuss important issues with her. I barely discuss important issues with her. It is a sentence. If I want to use barely at the first of a sentence, the sentence after would be a question, but it is not a real question. I discuss important issues. The question, do I discuss the important issues? Barely do I discuss important issues. Full stop. Okay? Full stop. Finish. It is formal. It is a formal way to say the exact sentence. In my writing, I prefer to use this structure. Okay? But in a spoken English, let's come back to Persian. In Persian, I say, من خیلی فوتبال بازی نمی کنم یا من به ندرت فوتبال بازی می کنم. We usually say, من خیلی فوتبالی نیستم. خیلی فوتبال بازی نمی کنم. In a spoken English, it is exactly like that. I say, I don't discuss important issues with her often or very often. Okay? Again, the sentence is, I barely play soccer. If I want to use it in a formal context, I say, rarely, barely, seldom, hardly ever do I play soccer. If it is spoken, actually I'm speaking with somebody, I want to use this sentence, I say, I don't play soccer very often. Okay? So, formal, informal. Let's go to the next part. She seldom watches TV. She seldom watches TV. Pause the video, write the sentence, and use seldom at the first of a sentence. That would be seldom, به علاوه جمله سوالیش. Seldom does she watch TV on weekends. اما نقطه. Because it is not a real question. Seldom does she watch TV on weekends. And the spoken form. Pause the video, write the spoken form. It would be, she doesn't watch TV often, or she doesn't watch TV very often. Another one. My family and I hardly ever argue with each other. My family and I, be careful. It is not possible to say I and my family. I and my friends. No. My family and I. My friends and I. Reza and I. Maryam and I. I should be at the end. Okay? The first point. The second point. Before the verb, I cannot use me. I should use I. I have to use I. Can I say, my family and me hardly ever play? No. My family and I hardly ever discuss, play, whatever. So, my family and I hardly ever argue. Argue is a kind of fight, but fight is usually physical. Argue, no, it is not physical. It is spoken. Don't do that. Go there. I don't want to do it. It is spoken, okay? That is argue. My family and I hardly ever argue with each other, okay? So, pause the video, write the formal form, then write the spoken form. So, for formal form, I use hardly ever at the first of a sentence. Hardly ever, then question form. Do my family and I argue with each other? What is spoken form? My family and I don't argue with each other very often or often. Be careful. We use this structure for hardly ever, seldom, rarely, and barely. All of them use بندرت. If I want to use sometimes at the first of a sentence, it doesn't happen. Sometimes I play soccer. Sometimes she plays soccer. No difference, okay? Also, I can use it with never. Before that, let's talk about something else. Have a row with somebody and fall out with somebody. we talked about argue. Argue with somebody. Have a row with somebody or fall out with somebody, same meaning. Fall out with somebody means با کسی در افتادن. I say, they usually fall out with each other. Or have a row means دعوا کردن. They never have rows. It is countable. You can say, have a row or have rows. They never have rows with each other. Okay? They are good words that you can use. Let's talk about never. We talked about hardly ever, seldom, and so forth. Now I'm talking about never. I never discuss with a person who is as mad as a hatter. As mad as a hatter means, it is not a good word, but in Persian we say, اسکله. Sorry to say that, but it is the meaning. It's دیوونه است کم داره, okay? So, I never discuss with a person who is as mad as a hatter. Who is as mad as a hatter, okay? Or you can say he is bananas. Banana, that means mouse, bananas. He is bananas. Same meaning. I can use never at the first of a sentence. Never do I discuss with a person who is as mad as a hatter. We know that it is a formal situation. We should use it in formal situations, but that's okay because we're going to learn. We are learning this grammar that is acceptable. Never do I discuss. Same story. I use never at the first of a sentence. Then the structure should be like a question. Another usage of simple present is about future. Okay, we use it to talk about future. We're not going to talk about it now, later. Let's go to the next part.